Christ is in different ways. And so I just wanted to throw that out there first so you guys can understand, if you weren't around, how awesome and crazy and fun and tiring VBS was. So we have been in a series that I'm going to end today. I could do Love Does probably for a whole year if I wanted to, but you might not want to. But I just wanted us to get to this understanding that all of these things that love does means nothing if you're trying to add to Christ, because it all revolves around Christ. So, before we get started, your anticipation, I can see it in your face. When is he going to tell us one of these amazing, awesome preacher jokes? Well, here is the time. I heard a story about this family who lived in a small town, and they had two boys, and these two boys, one was 4, and the other one was 6, and they were terrors. Mom knew when anything went bad in this neighborhood, it probably had to do with their boys, because their boys were just very difficult. And so, as they were trying to figure out how to discipline these kids or how to change them, they found, a minister of a church who was notorious for being really great at shaping kids and getting them to just find a better path than what they were doing. And so, they went to this minister, and the father agreed, we need to do something. So they get there, and the minister said, I will see them, but I need to see them one at a time. So he started with the younger boy, and he said, the only way I can really get to them is I need them to know, where God is. And so he started to ask this young boy, where is God? And the boy sat there, and he was really quiet. He was almost like he didn't hear this minister. So he started to raise his voice. He said, where is God? And the boy kind of didn't say anything again, so he raised his voice one more time. Where is God? And the kid took off through the doors and ran home, hid in the closet. The other brother saw him run in there, so he goes to the closet too. He said, what happened there? He goes, the minister doesn't know where God is, and they think it's our fault. I thought that was a good one. You can take that home with you. You don't want to. Where do you go from there? All right. I've always noticed in my life, getting back to Love Does and really the serious portion of our service, is when I start to get lost in my direction of what God is calling me to, or just losing sight of Him, there's 2 points of reference that I need to go to. How many of you have seen the movie? How many of you have little children? How many of you have grandchildren? And maybe some that are girls? How many of you have seen Moana? That's what I'm getting at. Moana? Nobody's seen Moana? Bless your hearts, because I've seen it a million times. So if you haven't, good for you. Well, in the movie Moana, she gets called to the water, and she wants to go and find this guy named Maui, and basically restore everything to the way it is. But she needs to be a wayfinder, which is someone who finds their way on the water. And so Maui teaches her how to find her way. And part of it is mapping the stars and knowing where you're going. And there's reference points that we need to look for in order to know our direction and where we're going. She learns this whole process of feeling the water and looking at the stars to know where she needs to go. So if you haven't seen it, that should make you want to watch it, right? For us, we have some reference points too. For me, there's 2 that I know of that really help get me back on track into seeing God the way that He wants me to. One is, what do I know about Jesus? What do I know about Jesus' character, and what is Jesus calling me to do? And the second one is the people that He's put in my life. I have been blessed to have friends that I've known forever, and sometimes there's ones who are not afraid to call you out on things, and to just keep you accountable and to keep you where you need to go. And I think God puts those people in our lives. Some of those for you, maybe your spouse. Some of them may be friends that you've known forever. Some of them may be some random stranger that just comes up to you and gives you a nugget that you were just like, whoa, I need to get myself together. But these are my 2 reference points. And so we're going to talk today about what does that look like and how do you find those points. And really, ultimately, at the end of the day, if you don't take anything else with you, this is the slogan that my stepdad likes to use when he preaches all the time. I never thought I would get there. But if you don't take anything for today and you just need something to grab and bring home with you, is don't overcomplicate the formula. There isn't a lot that you need to do to add all these things together and say, okay, now I get it. Really, there's one formula, and it's Jesus plus nothing. Really is everything. And we'll get to there. So let's talk about this first one is the Jesus point of reference. What do we know about Jesus? Most important thing you need to know is no matter where you are, Jesus tells us that he's with us. No matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, and this was great because this was part of that memory verse that our kids learned. And so our kids have been learning this for a week. You're going to get it all in a day. When you feel like you're all alone on an island by yourself, don't worry about it because Jesus is with you. There's a scripture in Colossians that tells us that we are complete if we have Jesus Christ. And I want you to kind of let that sink in, because what the world wants to tell you, or what Satan tries to do, is to make you feel like you are incomplete and you have to get yourself all together in order to be right before Christ, or in order to be right before God. And it's not the truth, because you have already been made complete in Jesus. Now, there's a caveat there. You aren't really made complete in Christ unless you have believed in Jesus, that you've accepted him, that you have repented and confessed of your sins, that you've taken Christ in baptism, and basically have proclaimed that I believe that I need Jesus as my Savior, and that's what he came to do, because the sins in my life, I cannot erase them by myself. Basically, it's the idea of saying, I believe that Jesus is my Savior, and I need a Savior. And I want to change my life. Not because I want to be right before God, but because Christ has made me right already, and I want to stay in his life. We are complete. So I want you to hear this, because it doesn't matter if you are single and looking for a spouse, and you think a spouse will make you complete, you are already complete already. If you think you need a better job, and that better job will make you complete, you're being lied to. You have already been made complete. If you think that if you won the lottery one day, and you just had all the money in the world, and that would make you complete, because if you just had a little more money, everything would be better. Well, P. Diddy said, "No money, no problems." That doesn't, some of you, I'm looking around, that resonated with about 7, but that's okay. It doesn't make you complete. What makes you complete is Jesus Christ, who fulfills everything within you before God. Nothing you have done, nothing you will do, nothing you think you can do will ever make you complete on your own. The only thing that brings completeness to you before God is Jesus Christ. That is the beginning of everything for your walk and your faith. And if you think you can do it on your own, you've been lied to. And if you think you're lost and you think you have to try to find your way, you need to listen to the whispers in your ears, which is what we read this morning in Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 21. God is telling Isaiah, and he says, your own ears will hear him. Right behind you, a voice will say, this is the way you should go. Whether to the right or to the left. You don't have to guess. God has given us direction. He's given us the best GPS you can ever find in a book that has lasted for a long time. That is not just a book written, but it is a book that is inspired by God himself. It is a direction piece to tell you where you need to go, whether it be to the left or to the right. And sometimes the world is trying to mess with you, and they're giving you too much noise in your life, and you can't hear that voice. And sometimes you need to be still and just sit in silence and let God speak to you. And I don't know how it is for you. Maybe it's to read his word. Maybe it's in prayer time where you feel God just pushing you to do something. Maybe it's through somebody in your life, like I said, which is our next reference points that we'll get to. Maybe it's somebody who's coming up to you and saying, something's different about you now. I think maybe you've lost your way a little bit. Let's sit down together. Let's just talk. Maybe that's what God is doing in your life. But whatever it is, I want you to trust that you don't have to be afraid, because the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And there's going to be a time where you need to sit and just listen to the voice that says, this is the way that you should go. Stop forcing it. Stop. Put the machete away. You don't have to blaze a trail by yourself. It's not better. The view will not be cool. Trust me, my path for you is right. And that path is different for each of us. Don't think that you need to look at the person to your left or to your right and say, my journey needs to look like this guy's or this woman's. It doesn't work that way. God has something specific to you, because you were made as a masterpiece. And I don't know if you know this, but not many masterpieces are copied and still considered a masterpiece. The copy is considered a copy. It is definitely not worth as much, especially if it's done digitally and not handmade. You were handmade as a masterpiece to do the good work that God has set before you. And your good work is different than my good work. And your talents are different than my talents. So you finding your reference point in the stars, or however you do it, through His Word, I hope would be better than looking at the stars and saying, that way. Do it this way. Look between His words and say, this is where God is calling me. I just can feel it because it doesn't feel like something I would normally do. I don't know. But God has a plan for you. And He has a voice for you. And it doesn't matter if you hear a voice that says, more money is the way. Find a different spouse and you'll be happier. That doesn't make you complete. Drive a better car. I don't know, guys, what to tell you. Satan is good. For Adam and Eve, it was eat the apple. You want the knowledge. For David, it was look at that hot lady on the roof. Now look at her again. Probably again. Now call her over. Every person in the Bible who is just a person was flawed. And they had sin in their life, and they had issues, and Satan is good, and nobody was perfect except for one. And that is the only one that can make it complete. And that is what you need to know about your reference point of Jesus Christ. Is He doesn't lead you astray because He didn't fall to temptation, because He humbled Himself before God all the way to something I know He didn't want to do, because He prayed, God, let this cup pass me, but whatever's your will, I'm here to do it. And He did. And thank goodness He did. Because now we are complete before God because of a sacrifice, a death on a cross, and a resurrection. We are made complete. Stop searching. Stop going to empty wells. Stop trying to fill the holes in your life with stuff, and instead fill it with the Spirit that comes through God, through Jesus Christ. And you will start to feel complete. Now, I was looking at some things about this point of reference that come from people. If you don't have people in your life that are good reference points to direct you back to God, you should think about reconsidering who you hang out with. I sit in front of a lot of kids, and I get to share some things with them, especially kids that grew up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, or other ones that are pretty tough. And a lot of times we think that we can't shape where we grew up, or we can't shape people who we think we need to hang around with. And I would tell them, no matter how good of a person you are, you're really only as good as the company you keep. And no matter how good you try to be, if you're hanging around a bunch of knuckleheads, people are going to think, guess what? You're a knucklehead. If you allow a bunch of garbage to come into your life, even though you're really good at dumping the garbage, sooner or later the garbage is going to pile up, and you are just going to start giving garbage back to people too. The hardest thing that people could ever do in their life is understand what Jesus was trying to tell people. Unless you hate your father and mother and love me, you can't be with me. That sounds weird because nobody wants to hate their mom or dad. That's not what he was really getting at. What he's saying is, if you are putting people in the way of me in your life, you need to reevaluate what you are doing with your life. Amen. As much as you think you can save everyone, there comes to a point where you realize, I think instead of me saving this person, I think I'm getting dragged down a little bit. And there is nothing harder than to say goodbye to somebody that you love and that you want the best. It doesn't mean you give up on them. It doesn't mean you stop praying for them. It doesn't mean that you ask God, please intercede in this person's life. But we can't allow that much of the world into our life. So sometimes your closest circle of friends, I think you need them to be someone that will challenge you, someone that will keep you straight, someone that will support you, that will cry with you, that will laugh with you, someone that wants your best interest, even if it's not within their own, but they want to see you grow and get more mature in your faith and get closer to God. Amen. I hope we all have that. That doesn't mean that the world around you have to lock yourself up in a room because you can't be in a world of sin. I'm just saying the people you keep closest to your heart, make sure that they're people who have Jesus close to their heart. Amen. And then you'll be able to go out to the world and really give an example of what God is trying to do. So I started to look some things up, and there's some great wisdom that comes out of the Bible, and we all know the book of wisdom, right? Proverbs gives us some things that we should look at. So I'm going to give this one first. It's in Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 20. It says, get all the advice and instruction you can so that you will be wise the rest of your life. Not only do we need to have good friends, but I think we need to have people in our lives that have a little more wisdom than we do, and we need to listen. Man, that is a tough one. I wish we had some of the younger kids here. I wish my son was not visiting his dad today. I would say, hey, dude, get all the advice and instruction that you can and actually let it sink in so that you won't be a fool but instead you will be wise the rest of your life. This was something that I needed a lot of, and it took me a while to allow myself, and I'm still working on this, if you ask my wife, to say, you are right, I am wrong. You know how hard that is when you are just a stubborn, hard-headed person? It is difficult. But instead of giving the excuses of why you can defend why you were right, sometimes you need to sit in it and say, you know what? That's good advice. I'm going to try that. Especially if the person who's giving it to you has nothing to gain from the advice that they're giving you. Trust it. I hope that there are people in your life that you can do this to. And when you have an issue, and this is what Renee and I were talking about this last night. We were going through the people in our lives that we're closest to. And we said, who would you really go to when you have an issue? Like, what friends do you really go to? And I started listening to people that I trust. But she goes, but do you really go to them sometimes? And then I narrowed it down really to just a couple of people. And one in which is my brother, who, it's funny because when I think about my brother, I wouldn't think, you know, he's someone to give me wise instruction. But what he does give is an ear that wants to hear without judgment, and he wants to help me because he loves me, he cares for me, he's family. And even when it's outside of what his character is a little bit, he still finds ways to give me the advice that I need to hear without, mincing words. He doesn't do that at all. And so those are, we start thinking about those friends and those family members and your spouse or whatever it is that you can go and confide in and not just say, hey, everything's good. But you can really say, life isn't that great right now. And this is what's going on. And I don't know if I need your help, but I do need your prayers, or maybe you do have some help you can give me. This is a reference point that steers you back on the direction that God has for you. So when you're lost at sea and you're looking around, and if you've ever been in the middle of the ocean ever, anybody ever go on like a cruise or like a sailing trip? Anybody? You ever get out and, maybe you weren't paying attention, and then you get up to the top and you look around and you go, there's nothing out here. You don't see land anymore. You don't even see birds anymore. You start to get nervous. And you go, I'm glad I'm not directing the ship because I get lost walking where I know where we're going, let alone there's nothing out here. How do you know where you're going? And if all the things go bad, you still need to know how to get where you need to go. And when you have people who know what they're doing, it's really nice to be able to lean on them and say, I don't see land in sight. I don't see my direction points. I need some assistance. And they're saying, I'm with you. That was the first thing we learned about in Love Does. I'm with you. I won't sugarcoat it. I will love you regardless of what you're giving me, but I want you to know I'm with you. Okay, there's this quote from C.S. Lewis and about friends, and I love this one. It says, the next best thing to being wise oneself is to live in a circle of those who are. There's this thing in real estate where it says, don't buy the best house in the worst neighborhood. Find the worst house in the best neighborhood, and you can bring it up. I always like to think, maybe I should not be the best person in my circle of friends. Maybe I might want to be some of the ones in the lower, so that I have other people around me who are a little bit better going forward than I am, but I want to still be that for other people too. But there's something to think about, like if you're going around and everybody's always coming to you in your circle of friends, who do you got to go to? I hope that there's someone there for you too. The next best thing to being wise in yourself is having people who are wiser than you and being in a circle of them. Because then better things will happen. And I'm hoping that pays off finally for the Kings. They promised me that earlier, and I haven't noticed it yet, but I think it's coming around. That was Vivek's thing. I'm going to surround myself with smarter people. Sometimes you got to let smarter people do their job. And that's the same with us too. So here's the deal. I'm going to end on something that I think just kind of puts it all together. In your life, I know you probably do this because I do it too. We want to overcomplicate things because we think we have to do it in a way that's like this crazy math formula. If I just do this, and I do all these things, and I show up to church every day, and I have this in my life, and I do that, and I do all these things, then I can go before the Lord. Our young people are learning this, and I only can assume that they're learning it from the adults in their life. And this was our theme at camp that I just kept running into, that all these kids wanted to be baptized, but they thought they had to be better. I gotta be better first. I can't accept Christ until I'm better first. This cannot be the story that we're teaching. Because in order for us to start, we need to know that we can never get better. We can't get good enough. We can only be flawed. We can say, Christ, I know you take me as I am. I know that you died for me even when I was still a sinner. And you love me anyways. And now I want to give my life. And this is the beginning of the journey. The beginning of the journey is knowing you're flawed and messed up. And guess what? When you go in the water and you come up, you're still not going to be amazing at being better. You just aren't. It's a process of knowing that you can be strong and you can be courageous, because whatever you do, wherever you go, the Lord your God is with you. When you come out of that water, you are now a baby. Babies don't just get up and start walking and running. Babies have to learn to do a lot of things. Sit up, get on their hands and knees, start to crawl. Then they get up and they start to walk and wobble and they fall over. Then they finally get that figured out and they start to walk a little faster. Then they start to run. Your spiritual life is the same way.
Amen.
You are flawed. How are you going to be perfect the next day? That's like saying, you know, I'm getting fat. I'm going to go work out. I went to the gym and now I'm skinny and in shape. That would be awesome. Doesn't work out that way. It's hard work. It takes time. It takes someone to encourage you. It takes you falling off the treadmill and going, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to go back to eating donuts. And then someone saying, no, you're not. I'm taking you to the gym tomorrow because I'm going to keep you accountable to what you want that's better for you in your life. And that is the same exact thing that we need to be doing in our faith and in our walk. No matter if you are 99 or you are 6 years old, you need someone still to help you continue to mature in your life, because guess what? You don't have it all figured out no matter how long you live and no matter how young you are. You need the help to keep seeing God the best way you can each day, so that when he calls you home, it doesn't say, I'm glad that you did all those things. Instead, he's going to say, thank you for continuing to try your best to walk in my light, because I've already loved you, I've already forgiven you.
Amen.
But every time that you choose me, I just smile and say, I'm so proud of you. And every time that you don't choose me, I say, I'm still with you. I'm still faithful, and I will still be here waiting for you to turn back around. But I'm going to let you make some mistakes, because I don't want to make you love me. I want you to choose it. But God does some great things for us. So, here's the deal. Let us keep looking to our reference points of what is Jesus and what did Jesus put in our lives through our friends. Let's find this map that goes back, and at the end of the day, we need to understand the simple math formula. It's really just Jesus and nothing else that makes us complete in front of the Lord. It's really Jesus and nothing else that gives us salvation, because he tells everybody, I'm the vine and the branches. There is no way that you can get to the Father except through what? Except through Jesus, right? That is our basis for what God is calling us to understand. It's really Jesus plus nothing. And that brings us before God. And you know what he sees us like? He sees us like Jesus. And we are covered in his blood, and we are washed clean, and he just sees us. Even though this book is probably containing all these dumb things that we did. Could you imagine if somebody just followed you around and your whole life was videoed, and you're watching it going, ooh, I don't know about that. I'm so glad that there wasn't social media, let alone somebody just marking everything I did when I was a kid. But at the end of it, he just says, I don't even see that. All I see is Jesus' blood, just cleansed. You're in. I'm going to walk in the light as he is in the light. We're going to have fellowship with each and every one of you. And the love of Christ covers my sins. How awesome is that gift? That is love that does. And that love that does calls us to be doing the same love for other people. Don't hold grudges. Life's too short. Don't find things to complain about every day. What's the point? Instead, why don't we just find things that we can just say, man, God is awesome. And I could be a blessing instead of one who wants to complain. I could be one who lifts people up instead of tries to drag them down. When other people are being negative, hey, I could be that ray of sunshine. You are still going to have some hard times. And you're not going to be able to do this all the time. And that's okay. But, man, God really calls us to do this amazing kind of love. And sometimes, to make it where you're reminded, you need to wear socks like this. Reminds you, why take things so serious when you got smiley face socks on? You can't. It's something that you need to change your perspective that Satan is trying to tell you that everything in your life is not enough. Really, at the end of the day, you can smile and say, I got Jesus. And since I have him, I'm overflowing. It's not that I don't have enough. I have too much. Too much. And it should be pouring over into everybody else. And they should be going, stop giving me this weird Jesus love. I don't want it yet. And yes, you do. And I can't help it because I'm overflowing with the love that I received. Because when I was yet a sinner, Christ came and he died for me.
That's right.
That when I keep trying to walk away from him, he is faithful because he can't deny himself. And he says, I love you more than you'll ever know. I love you enough to take on a cross. I love you enough to take on death. I love you enough to rise up. And I love you enough to put that same spirit within you so that you have this opportunity of finding me in this world of sin. Let's go to God for it. Dear Father, you are an incredible and awesome God. We can never explain to you how much we are thankful for that sacrifice and that love that you've given us. But God, I just pray that we live a life that's worthy of that calling that you've given us, not because we want to gain salvation through our actions, but because we want to show you that we love you the same way that you loved us first. And we can do that and be known as your disciple by the way in which we love each other, by the way in which we choose you over the world each day. So God, I pray that we can pick up our cross, that we can deny ourselves. And that self is what Satan is trying to put in our way of you. To be able to see you better, I just pray that you give us the discipline, that you give us a heart for you, that we don't have to be embarrassed because we love you, but instead we should be proud. And we should have a spirit of power and self-control each and every day that we take a step out because guess what? You are with us wherever we go. Remind us of that by the little things, by the people that you put in our lives, by the word that you've given us, by looking up and seeing a reference point each day of who you are and who your character is by what you've done in our lives. And God, I just pray that we can really fix our eyes on that. And when we do, we don't have to be brought down by fixing our eyes on what Satan is trying to distract us with. So God, please help us in that, because we cannot do it by ourselves. And we need your help. And so I just pray that you give us that sense of understanding that you are always, always with us. And in your Son, we are complete. We pray all these things in your Son's name. Amen.